Alright, kids. Alright, kids. So we're going to watch this video on the Age of Exploration. There will be a couple of quizzes, just make sure you guys are paying attention. So be prepared for that in the middle, and at the end there will be a couple of quizzes, so just be sure to pay attention to what the video is explaining.
Have you ever just wanted to go for a walk to see what you could discover if you just kept going? A long time ago, we didn't know what the world looked like, so people would go out exploring and try to figure out what was out there. This was called the Age of Exploration, and it changed the world forever. For many of the explorers, the first thing they did was jump on a ship to strike out across the world to discover what the world was like. In spite of what you might see in the pirate movies, being on a ship wasn't very fun. Ships were often absolutely packed with people, food, items to trade, and more. The food was horrible because they couldn't really do much cooking, and it was often moldy. Almost nothing was fresh because the sailors were away from the shore for months at a time. Because they had very little fruit, the sailors would not get vitamin C and would develop a disease called scurvy. It wasn't a lot of fun. If that wasn't enough, there were additional problems that came with sailing the high seas. Sailors were afraid of both real and fake dangers that could kill them at any time. The real stuff was plenty scary. If you were out to sea and hit a really bad storm, you might have your entire ship sink thousands of miles from a seashore or any other ships. You could get stuck because the wind stopped blowing or run out of food and water. What about the scary stuff they made up? Well, those old sailors thought that there were floating mountains that might sink you, or that the further you sailed to the equator, the more likely you would get melted by the sun. If the sun or mountains didn't kill you, there were also sea monsters that could kill you. One of those sea monsters was a giant that could shoot water from its forehead. Does that sound like anything you've heard of? With the threat of starvation, dehydration, getting lost, sunk, or eaten by sea monsters, what would drive these brave men to jump on those ships and explore the world? Well, one of the biggest drives was cold, hard cash. Europe wanted access to things like sugar, tobacco, chocolates, and even turkeys. There were mountains of money to be made by bringing these items back from the New World. There was also the chance for immortality. For example, Amerigo Vespucci had this side of the world named after him. That's where we get the name America. But there were some problems that came with the Age of Exploration. There was conflict between stronger and weaker cultures over land and resources. In addition, people didn't know how diseases worked, and by traveling all over the world, they spread those diseases and killed many people. Sometimes Christian missionaries would go into places and force people to convert to their religion. It's sad that even good things can often have parts of them that aren't so great. But ultimately, the Age of Exploration would prove to be a good thing for the world.